zealous of people who got to see all the artists like Queen, the movie, when the singer was actually alive, which was a movie last year. So there you got the word in. Zealous. Our next part of the meeting is the evaluators, and I would ask Pete Fordham, the evaluator for the icebreaker, to comment on the theme just before he ends his evaluation. Please welcome Pete.
Thank you, Brendan. So in the 1970s, I was working on a presidential campaign. And I was working in the state of Ohio, and I was working with a team, and we were driving around Cleveland doing all kinds of stuff for the campaign. Well, the person, as I said, there was a team, and the person who was the driver loved Billy Joel. So he controlled the radio because it was his car. So we listened to Piano Man over and over and over again at 1,000 decibels. Here we are all these years later, I still love Piano Man. Aleks, what was the time for Jane's speech?
Jane spoke for 4 minutes and 50 seconds.
So perfect, right in the middle. It was 4 to 6, so that was perfect. So Jane, I thought you did a terrific job. This was an icebreaker. This is only your second time here, and you're already doing an icebreaker. It usually takes longer to sort of break in to get a speech to do that. So the fact you did that was really impressive. You used no notes, and you went up in front of the podium, which is absolutely terrific. So I really applaud you for that. That is something that usually takes much longer, and you went right to that. So that was absolutely terrific. One of the goals of the icebreaker is to introduce yourself. I thought you did a terrific job of that. We learned that you're a maniac in a nice way. That you're a that you're from Maine. That you're a sports fan, that you're a golfer, that you've had a lot of different jobs, that you talked about the entrepreneurial firm you're working for now, you talked about your kids, you talked about your husband. So you talked about a lot of things in a short time. I really thought we started to get to know you, which is really the purpose of the icebreaker, and I thought that was absolutely terrific. So there are a lot of things that I look at as in terms of the evaluation, and you hit them all really nicely. I thought it was very clear. There was a lot of vocal variety. There were certain words. You talked about your kids, finishing up with college and went yay. You used vocal variety with the word fantastic at one point. Eye contact. You looked around the room, and you looked me in the eye. You looked other people in the eye. I could see you scanning the room. Used lots of gestures, which I thought was terrific. You were very aware of the audience. You were also extremely comfortable. And again, this is an icebreaker, so it's very common to have nerves and nervousness and that sort of thing. I didn't get any of that. And the fact that you were so comfortable doing your icebreaker, I thought was absolutely terrific. I was trying to think of, so I really didn't have anything other than nice things to say, because I was trying to judge you based on an icebreaker. The first speech, I thought it was great. I was looking for suggestions, but from an icebreaker standpoint, I really didn't see any. Maybe the general evaluator will comment and say, well, you should have said X, Y, and Z. But from an icebreaker standpoint, I thought you really checked all the boxes nicely, did a great job, very comfortable. We learned a lot, and I thought you did a terrific job. So, thank you. Thanks, Pete.
Next is Al Davis, and he did have a comment. Classical music, especially Bach and Mozart, remind me that there is still sanity, but where? Welcome, Al Davis.
Thank you, Brendan. What was the time of Peter's speech, please?
8 minutes and 30 seconds.
Sorry?
Louder, Aleks.
8 minutes, 30 seconds.
Although I'm going to be reading part of this, I'm going to do my best to deliver it with zeal, in the same way that the speaker delivered his speech with zeal. Peter, you gave a speech about a very common problem that all of us face, namely, we're talking with somebody we really don't want to be talking to or spending time with. How do we get rid of the guy? And we've all faced this in one way or another. Now, you chose a particular approach called fabricating a story and then kept digging yourself deeper and deeper and deeper into the hole, which I thought was a very, very effective technique. I would have liked to have seen more of back and forth between you and your antagonist, if I can use that word correctly, if I'm using that word correctly, in that you would say something about the events of 1943 or whatever led inexorably to the fall of the World Trade Center, and then he comes in and says, "Oh, really? Well, what particular event precipitated this cataclysmic turn of events?" And then a back and forth, where you are visibly digging yourself deeper and deeper into a hole that is totally inescapable, and you are inexorably drawn into squirming. And the Church of the Twin Towers, where did I write? What else have I written here? Oh, your body language. You're very vocal in body language, if I can mix a metaphor here. But what you were doing was pacing. You were pacing back and forth like this. I would have liked to have seen some intentionality, some very specific gestures addressed possibly at different people in the audience. So what you were doing was, like I say, intentional in the body language as opposed to random walking back and forth. You definitely got reaction and laughs from the audience. You have a definite presence, and your eye contact was great. It was very good. The story, I would like I said, I would like to have seen it been more developed, so there was more back and forth. It seemed like it was. It's hard to develop a story which is supposed to be coming across as something you are ad-libbing, but presenting it as a rehearsed event, and I understand that. And I still think it would have been more effective if the whole story had been written out with a greater detail, and like I say, the back and forth, the digging yourself deeper and deeper and deeper into this hole. Your tagline of getting rid of this guy was great. And that's my evaluation.
Okay, on to the Grammarian report with Ramiro, and how did we do with our filler words?
I think everyone did a terrific job. I just have a little Julie Stepson. You use 12 amps. Pete forehand. You use 3 amps. Jane, you were terrific. I didn't pick up any amps or so. Probably I made, but I think you did a terrific job. And Lindsay, you got 3 saws, 1 amp, and 6 amps and 1 amp. And Tammy, you 2 amps and 3 amps. Mickey, you use 3 amps and 4 amps. And Liana, you 3 amps, 1 saw and 1 amp. And All Davis, the word of the day was used by All Davis, and probably I missed the other person, I don't remember. One person I think was Jane, just the word seal too. And All Davis I didn't catch any answers. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. Aleks, White with the timer report, please.
Timer is going to report time himself when he gets the report.
Yay.
Everyone did a great job overall. There were just a few people who went beyond grace period. Brendan, you went 20 seconds beyond grace period as Toastmaster. Ramiro, you went 70 seconds below your allotted time for the Grammarian working day. everyone else was within the grace, within their allotted time, or within the grace period. And so